with Alyssa Nair announcing her retirement ahead of this camp, it definitely throws a wrinkle into my plans as
Oh,
the
no.
imaginary manager of this US
Are
women's
you
national team.
nervous about rolling out your 11?
How do you want the US to start against England on Saturday?
Let's go through it. I've got it's a big one, and turns out these are games where we're saying farewell to Alyssa Nair. So for me, she's absolutely got to get the start at Wembley. Alyssa Nair in goal. I've got Fox, Girma, Davison, and Kruger to round out that back line. I've got Lavelle, Horan, and Coffee in the middle third. Williams, Shaw, and Thompson up top. Giving a little nod to some defenders there in the back, players that have played with Alyssa Nair for quite some time. I think maybe we might see some players that she's got a lot of familiarity with, has got that chemistry with to kind of run out the defensive side of things. But I think the October window for Alyssa Thompson specifically was incredible. Such a standout player, incredible performances. And maybe, just maybe, we're not done seeing Shaw in the nine. We have heard Emma Hayes talk about how there's a lot of good players across the U.S. women's national team pool. And she has found herself in that coach's challenge of trying to see where to plug in players and how they can find success with some of their best players on the team, even if they all happen to have one preferable type of position. That's not always how it's going to work for the USWNT. So they got to kind of see how players can rotate in and out of position, how they can play higher, how they can play lower. So I'm kind of curious to see how it'll look under the bright lights of Wembley.
Yeah, that's a really good lineup. I like your front line of Williams, Shaw, Thompson. That is fun. I also think that Shaw is going to be dubbed as a 9, especially without Swanson, Smith, and Rodman at this camp. Jaden Shaw hopefully gets more looks, hopefully gets some time. Hopefully, in the last couple of weeks, she's had time to recover, to get back to fitness level, right? Because she was still dealing with a bit of a knock through most of this season following the Olympics with the US this past summer. It's been a lot for her. With Alyssa Nair announcing her retirement ahead of this camp, it definitely throws a wrinkle into my plans as
Oh,
the
no.
imaginary manager of this US
Are
women's
you
national team.
nervous about rolling out your 11?
I'm not at all nervous,
All
no,
right.
because
All
I'm
right.
shooting for the stars. But with Alyssa Nair, it before she announced her retirement, I would have said that she'll probably start both of these games and play 90 minutes through both of them. However, knowing that she only has 2 matches left and then Emma Hayes no longer has a number 1, and to me, the clear number 2 is not clear. The number 2 goalkeeper is not clear who will step into that number 1 spot. She only has a finite number of opportunities to see goalkeepers in competition against good competition like England, like the Netherlands, that are going to test these goalkeepers, that the goalkeepers are going to have to do well defensively, shot stopping, crosses in the box, physicality, but also distribution with high amounts of pressure against them. So that's where Emma Hayes has a big task of getting some of these other goalkeepers opportunities and minutes. And there are some young keepers in this camp. So I'm going to roll out with my starting 11 for the US against
Nice.
England. I have Fallon Tullis-Joyce getting the start. She needs to get minutes. She has to get time. And with Alyssa Nair only having 2 games left, you give her the last game. You give her the very end of it. I could see rotation at the goalkeeper position, right? I don't think so, but that's how I see it. Across the back line, I have Kruger, Girma, Sams, Fox. Emily Sams had an absolutely outstanding year, winning a gold medal, winning the Shield with Orlando Pride, winning the championship. You reward that behavior. You put her in the back line with Girma. I think that's a partnership that needs to start developing and growing. But Kruger and Fox, same as you in the outside back. In the midfield, ours look pretty similar. Haran, Lavelle, and Albert. I put Albert in there just because she's currently in season. Meanwhile, Sam Coffey is not, right? Her and the Portland Thorns got knocked out a couple weeks ago in the playoffs of the NWSL. Corbin Albert is in good form. And I think that Hayes is leaning towards having someone like Albert in the midfield who can play, build, and do a lot on both sides of the ball while also holding it down as a solo pivot to allow Haran and Lavelle to move forward. Up top, I also have Lynn Williams and Jaden Shaw, and I have Yasmin Ryan.
Let's
with
go.
this was a hard pick for me, this right wing position, because
Yeah.
Alyssa Thompson could slot into that role. Yasmin Ryan, Emma Sears, you could throw her up there. And I was specifically thinking about the last camp in October that the US played. And Emma Sears, of course, had a tremendous, tremendous camp. But Yasmin Ryan really proved that she deserves to be on this US women's national team roster. And to play Ryan with Shaw and Williams up top, I think could be a really good mix and balance of technical ability, crossing ability, dropping deeper, and then we could see Williams and Ryan be kind of like a double nine at times if Shaw drops a little deeper. I really want this front line to happen. I think
Yeah,
they're
I
just
hear
so
you.
dangerous.
I think that's what's so exciting about some of these attacking players that got called into this camp. Like, how often are we going to see throughout either of these games? Maybe like just random switches at some point. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, maybe there will be some caginess to start, but when you're met with that, how do you respond? How do you adjust? And Yasmin Ryan is, I think, for me, that type of player who's in that camp for this reason. Like her ability to make those adjustments on the fly, I think are something that she's shown us already in NWSL play over the last couple of seasons. And I like that when we're going into these types of friendlies now, it's, like, super unpredictable, like, who's gonna get a start. There might be, like, some players, like, we had some similarities right now in our wish list here, but ultimately, like, we're not gonna know who is gonna get this start until we see that lineup drop against England.